Hey guys, this is Tryptic, and I have an exciting 3 vs 3 commentary today. This is Tryptic mod 1.6. This is the first time we were playing on this mod, and this is the first version of the mod that has all 5 races. So, we have... I only released it last night, so people are still getting a little bit used to, for example, the Klingons, and the Federation too, because they're relatively new. And in a moment I'll see what all these avatars are, once I've loaded textures and found out. This was an alliances game, so everybody was random and everybody was random, like random race and random teams. So let's see what we have today. We have Drone and Warp Core and Heike versus Star Prodigy, Star Master Prodigy. I'm just going to call you Star. I'm going to call you Master this game, just because. And then Tony, and then Elam. So that is Drone as Federation. I'm probably going for a regular Antares Chassis 1 start. Warp Core is a Martok Klingon. He's going for economy first. And then their ally Heike is a Martok Klingon as well. Okay, so all pretty good yard building races. And on the bottom we had, Star Master as Dominion. His ally was Tony as Borg. That is an optimized Borg. And then Elam was playing, and he got Romulans. We'll see what he does in a sec here. And he is going over here first. I wonder what yard he's going to get. Maybe a star yard, since he doesn't have research yet. We shall see. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I did to the races this game, but not too much, only when it comes up in what the players are doing. For example, the Federation, their warp-in limit is now tied directly to their chassis level. So, the center warp-ins all cost 2 slots instead of 1, so each warp-in you could get is 4, whether it's the regular warp-in, the Descent, or the Teutoburg. And then for each chassis level you get 4 slots. So sort of the same where it used to be 1 per ship, and then you could call in 3 of them basically, because you had 10 slots. So 3 warp-ins would fit, with a little extra. Now it's exactly just each chassis level will give you a warp-in worth on the board. I also made it so that when warp-ins are killed, they give more experience, so for someone fighting against a warp-in strategy it's a bit kinder. But also the command warp-ins, the center warp-ins, they rank up faster, so you can expect to see more veteran galaxies and ambassadors and stuff. Also, the Descent and the Teutoburg warp-ins require chassis level 2 and chassis level 3 respectively. So you can't get Teutoburgs until you have chassis level 3, and they are accordingly buffed. They are pretty deadly. So if anybody remembers, right after the Teutoburg came up, when there was a lag bug where if the people lagged, it would cause the Teutoburg weapon to cycle incredibly fast, and it would basically spam like 2 torpedoes a second permanently. Those were the days. So, let me see. We did have, that was Drone, and he is getting chassis level 2 right out the bat. I'm wondering if we're going to see an Irati yard come up soon. There's Antares, and he is a Risner. So I'm really expecting to see an Irati yard come up somewhere here. His ally Warp Core over here, Martok Klingon, he's getting a quick battle yard. There's that field yard just for no other reason than to get it. For the Klingons, one thing I modified, as you can see there, I made it so that the core field yard is a little bit more expensive, but the expansions are all cheaper. So if you have the core and 1 expansion, it's the same price as before. If you just get the core, it's 100 dilithium more expensive, 25 titanium. And if you get all 3 of them, or 2 or more, then it gets cheaper than it used to be, to encourage fleet diversity. And then over here, their ally, who was Heike, I believe. Yes. He has his yard over here, I think. Yeah, okay, he's also getting a quick battle yard. Both of these guys, well, there's Sangs from Heike, and then I wonder if Warp Core wants to get a tech building, but with both his constructors out here, yeah, there's the forward armory. So he's wanting to go Vorcha, which are completely untouched, by the way. Sangs, Vorcha, not modified in my mod. I made some modifications, some slight modifications to things like Chargs, Susa, Veklarok, Vodpa, Vodpa refit, and then the Imperial Yard ships, the Chonak and the Negvar, most of which are in line with small buffs. So there you see a Burrell coming out from Heike. He's probably using that, he's counting on that to go against the Romulans. You just need to have 1 or 2 for manual targeting. Down here, Elam is a, let's see, he is Muriel, and he's going ahead and getting his research institute, so even though he has this here, he's really taking his time getting his economy up slowly. I wonder if he's going to go Warbirds Yard with this, or if he's just... No, maybe he's really just focusing on economy as fast as possible. He got dual dilithium in the beginning. He could be planning a Shrike spam. And what I did with the Shrike just recently is I have made it so that it's slightly cheaper, just because I compared it to all the other ships it competes with, the Monsoon, the Burrell, and stuff like that, and cloaking on this ship does not make it that easy to get out alive. It can still be killed very easily. So its cost was significantly higher than the other ships that did about the same thing, so I brought down the dilithium cost by 50. From like, it was about 500 before, now it's about 450. Also, its special ability, which disables engines on support ships, I modified so that it can be used on any ship. So now it's kind of a nasty engine disabler. However, it doesn't get its engine disable ability until you have a Tal Shiar Academy, which is way later game. Let's see if I can find this real quick. So, yeah, late game you could use these as engine disablers, but I mean, pretty much any Shrike you bring into a late game fleet is going to get killed instantly because it's going to be auto-targeted. But it might get off an engine disabling shot, and if it does, it's like a 10-second disable, so it could be very useful. Let me see. For the Borg, this was Tony. He's going for a very early sphere, not messing around with those earlier game ships, and it looks like his ally here... Oh, this is Elam. Okay. Elam's building his Warbird Yard way over here. Hopefully as some sort of proxy. And up here you can see that Heike is rushing straight to Imperial Yard, trying to see what my new stuff does, which is good. I want to see if it's overpowered or not. Who is shooting at what? Oh, there we go. We have a Shrike raiding some mining. And there you can see, oh, I didn't put it in the tooltip yet, but yes, it does have that cost reduction. Also, I was noticing how many Shrikes it takes to effectively raid mining, and you'd take 2 or 3 of them, because this could get into the repair yard so easily. Meanwhile, the final player, who was a Star Master Prodigy, he's Dominion, and he's getting his economy up. His yard is all the way up here, and he is spamming turrets, which going against the Federation could work out pretty well for him. There is a nasty decloak. These Burrells have caught the Shrike, and it will be visible. However, I think they're both 140 speed, so as long as he flies, they'll lose vision of him like that. But he does have to be very careful, lest those Burrells catch him. That's basically what Burrells do. They're fast, and they have that decloak, so once the Burrell's on you, you're not going to be able to escape unless you can kill off the Burrells. So with the Tech Lab, I'm really expecting to see a large construction yard coming out of Star Master Prodigy. Right here it is closer expansion. I don't think he wants to do too much up here, he just wants to hold it. These bugs have their defensive value increased, but not their offense, which makes them not as good at early raiders, but it makes them better at combining with the fleet late game. And it makes it so that it's actually possible to micro them into a yard if they're getting shot at. However, his opponent, Drone, has gotten an Irati yard right over here, so the Irati yard is much cheaper now than it used to be. It's less than half the price it used to be. But it builds ships slower, and it has much less defense value. The idea was it would be more vulnerable, and you'd have to keep it in the back. However, as it turns out, players really like having cheap proxy yards, so even though I made it that way, with the idea that you'd have to keep it defended, people are still putting them right on the front lines. But hopefully that'll be balanced. Like I say, this has 60 defensive value, which is about the same as a Klingon mining station, yeah. Whereas it used to have about 140. There's something really, really high. I want to find something for comparison. Like the Antares yard is 115. Now who's shooting? Okay, there's some bugs doing some raiding. Like I say, because they're more expensive and their offense hasn't been increased, this actually makes them not as good at raiding as they used to be. However, with their defense, they could get in under that starbase and still kill something. So pretty much nobody is building big fleets so far. They're all just trying to mass up their ships, or their tech, as high as they can go. So there's some rating there. There's who the heck is rating? There's a sphere. That is a triple regen prime sphere, so unmodified from previous generations. Fighting some Intrepids. Oh my goodness, what are you guys trying to do to me? I can't see. Okay, so there's Sangs. Heiki has Sangs. And the Imperial Yard actually belonged to Warp Core, not Heiki, so we're going to see some Negvar out soon. Nothing from the Battle Yard, so these are all just proxy repair yards. In fact, this is the Negvar rush. He went straight to Negvar as fast as he could and got nothing else. With his ally here getting this proxy Irati Yard with allied repair that will really... I mean, this is interesting. This is a secure position with a repair yard, but so is this. This map range is very interesting. However, this sphere is very quickly taking out the platform, so they may need some help from some allies to deal with this sphere. Do the others have anything to send? There's one Negvar out that could come support him, but that's about it. So one Negvar and one Avalon and one Intrepid is the entirety of the top team's fleet right now, except for several Sangs and Burrells from Heiki. More of a conventional play here. There's a Kaduj and a Sang. However, on the bottom, Elim is going for Salars in the center. These Salars make better frontline ships than they did before thanks to their increased offense, which is really what the Salar needs most as a long-range battleship. Its defense is increased slightly from before, and then it has the reduced hull value, which makes it a little bit more difficult to cloak it out under fire. But other than that, it's a good core battleship. But the most important thing is the disruptor bombardment ability, which is long range and requires the upgrade facility to get, so he won't have access to it yet. But that allows them to stun a target for about 6.5 seconds, I think. Or no, 7 seconds, because it takes 50 energy per second. So these are very good. They're very good at sniping other large battleships, things like Spheres and Avalons, because they can get that stun and then it can't run back to the yard. I'm expecting him to decloak any second here and join his allies. He has 2 allied repair yards. I hope this has allied repair nearby, so he's really not afraid of dying. But it looks like he's leaving that sphere to fight on its own. There we go. Oh, okay. And Drone really has a large number of Intrepids that he's got worked up. This one missed Microwing. It canceled its repair order and it's going to die. This one here might get killed as well by that sphere. Did it? No, okay, it's getting repaired. But these Salars, picking off the fighters of the Avalon. There's another Avalon under construction, but this could be too risky for Drone to try to hold on to. He really needs some help from his allies. I see 2 Negvars out, and I think that's about it. I don't know what they're going to be fighting against. This Intrepid getting auto-targeted a little bit by the Salars. And eventually the damage is going to force off the Salars. You can see this one's been sent to repair, so this must have allied repair on it. However, it's a bit of a stalemate here because I don't think anything's going to die anymore from the top, and nothing's going to die from the bottom. Unless either the top team gets more firepower or the bottom team gets disruptor bombardment. And these Negvars are going all the way in to start raiding here. I'll show you their stats in just a moment after I see what goes on here. This platform attempt is going to get cancelled, but it also doesn't make it into the yard. He was not planning that well enough. Meanwhile, more Shrike raiding with just 1 Shrike. And this is just a matter of brain power. Drone doesn't have the attention span to go do that in the middle of this other important fight. And I'm sure Elim isn't really microing this much either, but it does get a kill. And this is going to be a very highly ranked Shrike pretty soon here. These Negvars are doing damage here, but I'm expecting to see... There's 1 Salar, there's another. And I'm almost expecting the Borg to have something else. Yeah, there's another Sphere ready. Already. Who else is fighting? Okay, there's Burrells killing off a Shrike. They'll probably win. Even though it has a chance to disable their weapons, they're probably going to get it. And it can't run. So who else is fighting here? Where's all the fighting going on? Okay, now the Sangs have come. And these Salars take half damage from long range, so they're going to take reduced damage from the Avalons and from the Sangs. It's not in too much danger right now, although I would cloak it. I think it really needs to cloak, because it's going to have a turn time when it gets to that yard. I don't think there's too much danger to the bottom team here, but if the top team keeps on sending stuff, it's going to start adding up. There's this one too. I think they just killed a Sang, and another one's going down, so they are actually getting some nasty kills on Hickey. And that's what was going on from the bottom here. This is a Breen battleship rush coming from Star Master Prodigy here. These are now faster, and they don't require a prototype anymore. They just require the Ketracel White facility. The speed is a big factor because the old ones were just so ridiculously slow. They were more like mobile turrets, but now the bottom team has 2 spheres, 2 Salars, and this Breen battleship, which has very nice stats. This top team is going to be in serious trouble unless those Negvars show up. However, the Negvars deal extra damage to long range, so they will do very nasty damage to both the Salars and the Breen battleships. The Breen battleships in turn deal extra damage to battleships, but medium range, which is not the Negvars. So these Negvar really need to go join in. The top team are going to be kind of screwed without their Negvar support. I think what's going to happen is this yard's going to have to be decommed. Yeah, you can see he's running away with the Avalons. And so now the bottom team's just going to tear this down. They're probably going to kill that. Keeping track of the development, Elam has not built any more tech, however... Oh wait, yeah, of course he did. He has Tydaradex, so he must have an upgrade facility. There it is. Okay, so he does have an upgrade facility. He's switching into Tydaradex, which you may notice well, there we go. A Salar has 47 offense and a Tydaradex has 48. So their offense is almost identical. The difference is the Tydaradex has funny how that works out. The Tydaradex has almost twice as much defense as a Salar, and it's medium range, and it has the special, which is very nice, but only once it ranks up. So, yeah, so the Tydaradex is a nice transition. It's very tough. It has a very high supply cost, although he might get fed by supply later in the game. But you do need to switch. You can't build entirely Salars, or it's not that good of an idea usually. I mean, these are about the same cost, and for the same offense but way more defense. The Tydaradex is just a nice transition up. They're so hard to kill. These Negvars, I should also mention, another change I made was... Where's his Imperial Research? Yes, so the large-scale cloaking used to cost about 2,000 tritanium. Now it costs 200 dilithium, 800 tritanium, and the research cost has been reduced. It used to be about 5 minutes. Now I think it's 2, maybe 2.5. So, let's look at these ships individually. This is, it used to be 56, for Martok it used to be 5640, and for Tokoroja it was 5036. Sorry. So I've increased their defense, increased their supply just a little bit, and then they also rank up quicker and require fewer veteran slots. They used to require 9, now they require 6. And the rank up, they take about 2/3 as much experience as they used to, so they rank up pretty fast. And this combined with the large-scale cloak should make them pretty deadly. I was considering giving them a price increase to go with this, but as they hadn't been tested very well yet, I decided not to. But that is on the table. I may increase their dilithium cost in the future. However, like I said, they also have their weapon overload, which deals 300, what's the word, like pure damage. If you're familiar with other gaming systems, it isn't affected by any passives. It just deals 300 damage to anything. And that can be very deadly against, I mean, let's see, what's the hull on this? Yeah, the hull, so basically it will one-shot the hull of a Salar that's cloaking. It would take 3 shots to kill a Salar at full health. But, and I mean, it doesn't get the extra damage to long range like the other weapons, but, like, a couple of these versus a Tydaradex would be very deadly for the Tydaradex because they can use that weapon overload. So, this sphere has taken some damage and it's regenerating, but honestly, none of this stuff is going to die. Like, the top team really can't get kills here without those Negvars, and this yard is going to die with an Intrepid building, so that's even more resources gone. So the bottom team are really dominating here with their large late-game battleships, and the top team just doesn't have enough of a concerted effort to bring them down. The Salars are the weakest defensively, so they will auto-tank, but they take half damage from long range. The Breen battleships are just nasty. And then the spheres are spheres they can regenerate. So you can see they're finally splitting off and retreating. Warp Core did successfully blow up this Warbird yard, and he's going to blow up more stuff, but is it enough? Can he cause enough damage? There's a perimeter going up here. I don't know if Warp Core can cause enough damage to offset the amount of flak that his allies are taking. So many of these Sangs have died in these fights. Heike has built many of them, but the trick with Sangs is you just gotta know when you can kill stuff and when you can't. And if you have a cloud of Sangs, you can go in and start killing stuff. But if you can't get kills, you need to keep your Sangs out. I think it's admirable that he's been helping out his allies, but he really needs to get these Sangs out of combat until he has about a dozen, at least. More like 15 would be good. And then he could really kill off these battleships and these spheres. So now, Elam's Warbirds are raiding the Imperial production. I wonder how many Negvar's Warp Cores managed to get out. This one does successfully get out, and it'll probably cloak. And these, very quickly, just ripping through this perimeter with their crazy firepower. And they're probably going to rip through this Breen battleship as well. I mean, these are some very late game ships. The tech cost to reach Negvars is so high. They make a very nasty ship for games like this where you don't get attacked early. Like where everybody goes for nobody really worries about raiding much. They all just go for their late game tech as much as they can. Negvars are just about the king. I mean, they have the short range, the defense has always been their problem. I didn't increase their offense at all, though. It was always this high. But just by massing up to them, he's going to have an incredible amount of firepower. As you can see, this yard is dying, though. Everybody's killing everybody's production yards. So right now, Elam can't produce more Warbirds, but he doesn't... Well, okay, there he goes. He is getting more Daredicks here. And surprisingly, people haven't expanded their mining too much. Meanwhile... Yeah, these Daredicks... Oh, he doesn't... You could totally get that kill. There's the battleships. Now they're taking out a Negvar, and it's going to die pretty quickly under this much firepower. And now the spheres are going to kill this. So Warp Core is going to have no ship production facilities. And since his battle yard died before he was able to build another Imperial yard, it'll be quite a lot of resources for him to get back up. His ally here, Drone, is going for warp ends, although he's lost so many ships. He lost his Zerati yard, he lost his Antares yard. He has no yard production right now. And he's out of supply. So he's very limited in what he'll be able to do. This yard here is decommissioning, more miners are dying. I gotta wonder where everybody's resources went. I mean, here, Heike has some Sangs. I don't know if you'll get any kills, so it might be better not to engage here. This one engages. No, it engages by itself, so it's gonna die, probably. You really need these ships to all be combined. Maybe get a Polaron torpedo on that Vorcha would be very good, because you can use that to deal a lot of damage, and especially disable subsystems on these Warbirds. The Polaron torpedo is how you get kills. As you can see, yeah, these Warbirds just cloak out. So these Sangs are okay. If he hadn't been losing so many of them throughout this game, he would have a lot more, and maybe his allies need to give him some of their resources so he can build more of these. Like, these Breen battleships will die pretty fast to Sangs, as you can see. They're tough ships, but they're not invulnerable. Yeah, like, he needs to realize this and go kill them. Use the Sangs, because these Breen battleships do deal reduced damage to small ships by quite a lot. You see, this Daredix is taking damage, but it can get out. It's not afraid. And there's just too many ships coming. Now, Heike needs to cloak and run. He's getting triple teamed by battleships. Well, I mean, except for these, but these are the battleships of two races and the large cruiser of the Borg. Like, there's not going to be anything you can do. You just got to run. Let me see. Oh, one last thing I would like to mention is that the Negvar cloak is actually 3 seconds instead of 4, unlike the other Romulans, because it is their advanced capital ship cloak. So now the Negvars have shown up, and they're killing Breen battleships. They're dealing 50% increased damage to them, so that dies. There goes one Negvar. This almost veteran Negvar is going to die, which is so tragic. I wonder if Allied Repair, there it goes. Allied Repair is coming up, but that Negvar dies. There's a veteran Salar here. And the Daredex makes it out. Oh, it's too bad. I think if that Negvar had gotten to veteran, it would get manual targeting and these guys wouldn't be able to cloak out. You can see the ridiculous amount of damage they deal to this guy because they deal extra damage to long range, and it's going to die. They're going to kill it, I think. Oh, it cloaked out just barely. Okay, so the Negvars took some losses. They killed some Breen battleships, but I don't think it was enough. I mean, there's just too much. Drone is raiding some mining. And by the way, the Borg miners I did make a little bit weaker. Their defense is weaker, but they can regenerate now. And if they do regenerate, they're actually a little bit stronger than before, but you have to pay attention to them. Whereas, you know, like the other races, you have to get your miners into the yard. It's sort of the same thing with the Borg. They have to activate regeneration on their miners or they don't get it. And over here, Star Master Prodigy has basically made it so that nothing will ever kill this spot, no matter what happens. Or maybe it was because down here the perimeter died. He thought one perimeter wasn't enough. So the trick of this battle is, though, there aren't any new Negvars coming out. But there are still new ships coming out for the other races. There's Daredex coming out. Elam isn't really worrying about anything else right now. And he's got these guys way in defensive territory. Oh, where now? Can't even keep track of all you guys. Who? Oh, okay, he's just going up here. Lots of mining has been destroyed in this battle. Oh man, and this guy has its shields, its defensive subsystem is damaged, so it won't even be able to recover its shield hit points. Even though it's a beautiful veteran, which means its energy is the important thing. It can stun something for 13 seconds now with Disruptor Bombardment. But also it's just really tough. So the Negvars are moving out. Let's see, where is everything? So there's, oh, Miranda 2s. We get to see some fun little Miranda 2s come out. They are long-range vessels. However, they're fighting against 2 diamonds. Tony has had so much time to just do this Borg economy thing. He's probably already gotten his nanites. It looks like he's been given supply by the other people. I'm pretty sure. Either that or just the fact that he's only ever built hardly any ships is what's keeping him afloat. Ooh, and the Borels get their manual targeting on the Salar, so it's gonna die. Oh, unless they lost it. Oh, that stinks. There is a chance to fail on manual targeting, and it looks like they failed. So they won't be able to get that kill. Heike is producing more Vorcha, which is going to be rough. I mean, honestly, they're kind of outclassed at this stage of the game. You really need that Polaron torpedo to start, you know, knocking out subsystems on spheres and diamonds and Daredex. Oh, where now? Oh, okay, there's a Borel waiting for this guy to try to cloak. But I mean, even then, it's a Daredex versus Vorcha. The Daredex deals more damage and has twice as much defense. Vorcha's not going to win this. Where's the decloak? There's the Klingon Negvar decloak, killing off the conduction matrix. He did not see that the diamonds are all the way over there, so that's not bad. I wonder if we'll see new factories? Yep, there he goes. He's getting Bortis production now, which it's better against massed small units, not so good against battleships. I think more Negvar would probably do you pretty well. He's still trying for this with these Borels, but these are Martok Borels, so they're pulse damage only. They're doing very little to this thing, and that one gets engine disabled and it's going to die. The conduction matrix dies, and he's just moving on to the next target. He's going to snipe this perimeter probably. And the bottom team are being a little bit reluctant to move out. Man, Star Master Prodigy must have had a ridiculous amount of resources this game. Another thing about the Breen battleship, if I can just mouse over it, there we go. So I reduced the supply cost, but the mineral cost is still really high. Uh-oh. Don't know if he can cancel in time. Oh, he canceled. But, so the idea is they go well with other other Dominion ships, for example, if you were having trouble keeping up with supply. But actually late game, when the Dominion supply just gets close to infinity, they're not that good, because they don't cost that much supply, which you have free, and they are still very mineral expensive. And there go the diamonds with nanites all over this Negvar fleet. That one gets engine disabled. We'll see if any of these lose weapons. There goes one at least. There's a nanite patch there. Oh, he's not getting any lucky disables. Although, well, there's one. That one lost its engines and sensors. We'll see if it loses weapons. Okay, no, it's recovered. But these diamonds are too much for these Negvars to deal with. I mean, honestly, if they were right next to him and it was 1 diamond, maybe 2 diamonds, they might be okay. But not with the spheres there. That's too much. And also considering the Negvars need to stay alive. They can't even afford to win a fair fight where there's equal casualties. They have to kill stuff and lose nothing. So he's about to decloak on this and have some very nice fun killing off some supply mining. I really want to see more high-rank Negvars come into play. I want to see a nice veteran Negvar. And we might almost get one here. And he's cloaking and running, although I don't think that's so important, considering of your allies, the only one who's cloaky is Elam's Dederdexes, and the Dederdexes aren't going to be back here. So I don't think there's any need to cloak and run. I think you could go ahead and kill this, get more experience. I mean, any bit of experience on these Negvars is going to help out in this final battle that's coming. The 3rd Bortus is almost done, and we have Lispet? Oh, okay. 80 AI, they take reduced damage from medium range, so they'll resist all these Dederdexes and the spheres, so that could be useful. Here, Drone has been building a fleet of smaller ships, although they're probably all going to die now. Unless he runs away. There's a couple more Mirandas, but I don't think it's going to work out for him. He sees the diamond, and he's going in anyway. He says, ah, screw it. The top team are just like, okay, we're done here. But they're going to fight it out with honor. The Polaron torpedoes were used on something, I'm not sure what. But yeah, they got nanites on them. I think the Klingons tried to cloak there, but they're pretty much done. These spheres are chasing, the diamonds are chasing. There's Breen battleships here as well. And honestly, this match was over a while ago, when all that other stuff was dying. I mean, yeah, they're doing some nice warp and raiding, they're destroying property. But, I mean, Star Master Prodigy has 2 perimeters he didn't need. And I think he was switching into something else. Yeah, he's switching into C-17s. So, like, and since Drone has basically been knocked out of this game for a very long time, he's still been mining. And he's been trying to produce stuff, but it took him a very long time to get back up after that. And this was going to die too. Like, there's way too much firepower from this bottom team. There goes the transmission matrix. Might lose an upgrade facility. And there's a veteran Negvar. Nice little 77, 89. It has the warship cannon. It deals extra damage to battleships. It isn't too good, I mean, it isn't extremely good, but it's nice. And there's also the ion torpedo that deals a lot of damage. So there's Heiki's stuff retreating. He does not have very much left. And honestly, okay, there's the new Klingon ball. We have these. They do have their full storm. You'll notice the level 2 ability of theirs is the advanced cloak. So they do have the ability to cast an ion storm, but it's not going to do much to these ships. This Lispet got caught. Come on, ion storm, ion storm. There's 1. There's 2, there's 3. So there's a nasty ion storm going on here. But, while this would be completely deadly to a bunch of smaller ships, it's not that dangerous to all these battleships and cruisers. They just flew right through it. And here you see these guys are long range, they don't take extra damage, or they don't do reduced damage to these Lispet. We might see some Polaron torpedoes go off. I think this expansion just got killed. Honestly, these Negvars could almost kill off... If they got weapon overload, they could just about kill off everything Elam has. They could kill the starbase as well. But the Borg are going to come in and wreck everything. And Drone is saying GG, he's good. I think the top team just took too many casualties. As you can see, the bottom team really rushed straight for their later tech stuff in this match. And then so did Warp Core. Drone sort of did, although he just didn't win the battle with that expansion that he tried here. He didn't have enough ship firepower, and Warp Core wasn't able to come over and help him out yet. Although Warp Core's Negvar were a very good call in this match. They've certainly been helpful, he wasn't able to combine them with the other ships and actually kill off the enemy's fleet. So like these fleets, like no Borg ships have died this game, I don't think, except for miners, and hardly any warbirds have died. So their fleets just kept on getting bigger and bigger. So yes, as I said before, the Elam starbase is going to die relatively easily because all these guys deal extra damage to long range. It just lost its weapons. And we might even see more high-rank Negvar. I love the animation of that warship cannon when it goes off. It's a bit hard to see. Oh, he's not firing. Oh, he's auto-targeting that. And not firing. Oh, there it goes. There we go. I love the two little bolts of energy. And it is true, once you get near the end game, your options do get a little bit limited. Like once you reach the maximum tech, like once you reach diamonds, there's not much else you could go for. I mean, you could get cubes. Once you get Negvar, you don't go back. You don't really need anything other than Negvar once you have Negvar. And it sort of feels the same with Romulans. Once you have D'Deridex, you don't really need any other warbirds. Although I try to make it so that Nerexans combine very nicely with them, because Nerexans don't cost much supply, and they have that really high firepower, so you can have D'Deridex and Nerexans together. But I'm thinking about in the next patch making the Tavara better somehow, maybe faster, although I might have to make it weaker defensively. But I want to find some way to make it so that Tavara can be used with other warbirds, because right now it's too slow. Your other fleet can't afford to wait for the Tavara. There's a beautiful 107 defensive value to D'Deridex. And where's there's Shadow dutifully raiding. And there's like, yeah, the Miranda 2s are very nice ships in some situations, but they do pulse damage, so this entire match has been dominated by battleships from the bottom team. So honestly, he would have done pretty good with Defiance and Sovereigns. Especially the Defiance, even though they do pulse damage, because they can disable weapons on high priority targets, so he could use them to disable weapons on the battleships and the warbirds and all the big board ships, and then he could use the Sovereigns because they just have the really good pulse damage and the hit points. But yeah, in an entirely late game match... Oh, actually, who was it that left? Oh, okay, Heiki was the one who took off. And also Drone took off. So when I say he's dutifully raiding, I mean the AI is raiding in his place. So I think there isn't too much more I can comment on here. Oh, these guys do take damage from Ion Storm. Like, it does have friendly fire on it. So yeah, I'm gonna sign off and not commentate anymore, but I'm still gonna record. I would like to point out, because I lowered the veteran cap, yes, you can have up to 4 veteran Negvars. That was kind of the point, because they're the command ships of the Klingon fleet. I figured there would be some high-level person on board. Chancellor Martok himself. Okay, this is Tryptic signing off. I'd just like to point out for Elim's sake, that is sort of the point of this map. Yeah, that's the point of my mod, is to take the strategies that were kind of weird in the old days and make them usable. So yes, Marine battleships and warbirds are supposed to be usable.